Is gaming boring? That's the question for today's video. And the reason that I want to bring this up to you guys, and I just kind of want to have a conversation about it, is I've been playing video games, honestly, for as long as I can remember. The earliest console that I remember having was the Nintendo 64, and I played a lot of the old WrestleMania games, the WWE games, and I also owned a PlayStation 1, and then I ended up moving on to the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and so forth. But my point to all of that is, clearly gaming was always so fun and it was so in my life. I would die to go to GameStop. Back in those days, like literally I wanted to go to GameStop. Every time that we were out at the mall or at a shopping center or something and I saw GameStop, I always wanted to go in because it just seemed like a magical world. It back then you would think I can go and explore so many different things, see so many different worlds, live so many different lives. And that was just the beauty of video games for me all those years ago. But very recently, I would assume in the span of the past 5 years, I've seen a lot of comments just on forums, comments on Facebook video game pages, YouTube comments, and almost anywhere that gaming is relevant or there's any type of post regarding gaming, I see things like, gaming isn't what it used to be. Gaming is boring now. There are no more good games. What happened to those good games that we used to get when we were kids? And I've even started feeling that way, even people close to me. I have a friend, a very good friend, and he'll text me here and there on Instagram, and he'll say, hey, I think maybe gaming has gotten a little boring. What do you think about this game? Have you tried this game? Do you think this game is good? And sometimes we'll just talk about that and share our opinions. And so he said that to me. And I have my uncle, who I've played video games with since like 2011. I think we started playing Call of Duty together. 2012 maybe, I'm not sure, around there. He played games all the time. He was really into God of War. He was into the Need for Speed series, GTA, San Andreas. So many. He used to have all the cool games, and his whole ass didn't like me back then, but whenever I would go to his house, I would just kind of creep up and look at all the games he had, because he had so many cool games, and sometimes he had games that I didn't have in my house. My point is, even him, who grew up gaming, he grew up gaming also and playing different games, to this day the only thing he plays now is Call of Duty Warzone. I mean, it's a sad life for that man. All he wants to play is Warzone. He played God of War 2018 and he liked it. Then he played God of War Ragnarok and he hasn't finished it. He hasn't finished Days Gone. He hasn't finished Far Cry. He hasn't finished there's so many games that he hasn't finished. My point is, he also just isn't interested in story games anymore, and he says the same things. He's like, oh, it's boring now, or I get bored playing those games, I can't play them anymore. So the question, like I said earlier, are video games boring now? And I don't know. It's an open discussion, and I think everyone is going to obviously have a different opinion on it. And just me and my basic opinion, I don't think that it's boring, but I definitely think that there may be a burnout from games that are so similar. Growing up, at least, I remember just having so many weird, different games, It just felt like there were more games to play back then, I think. And it could be our youth, it could be a little bit of nostalgia, it could be a little bit of a lot of things mixed together. I've been all over the place with this video, and it's very chill, and it's very relaxed, and it's very just unorganized. But that's the point. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts on this whole video games are boring nowadays, or video games aren't good. I think there's an abundance of games that are high quality almost. You got Elden Ring that came out last year, God of War Ragnarok that came out last year, A Plague Tale: Innocence that came out, Horizon Forbidden West. These humongous games. These are a lot of big releases, and they're big games, man. Some of these games are like almost all four of those games that I mentioned are at the bare minimum 20 hours to complete. At the bare minimum. Elden Ring, you're pushing 100 and over 100 hours. Ragnarok, you're pushing about 50, 60 hours. A Plague Tale Requiem, you're pushing 20 something hours. Horizon Forbidden West, you're pushing over 55 hours. Big ass games, RPG games, have become almost the norm, and then a mixture of RPG with these games have gotten so massive that sometimes they're like, Lord, like, yes, you do want a long game, you don't want a short story game, I understand, or like a ridiculously short one, but if you're playing multiple games a year and you work, you have kids, you have a wife, whatever, you might not have the time to always play the games that you want because of life responsibilities. So you buy a game and then it's not as good, you don't get into it because of this or that. You buy another game and you don't get into it because this or that. the responsibilities that we have, I think now, you know, maybe are a little bit bigger. And I think that some of the kids growing up today, like younger kids, you know, elementary kids, middle schoolers, things like that, they're playing their games and they're loving these games. And to them, these games that they're getting is just, they're so like advanced with these games that when they grow up, maybe they're gonna think this was their time, that video games were fun now. I'm not saying that as you get older video games get boring, because I've seen comments like that. I've seen people think that. For some people it may be true, but I don't think that I don't think it's law. I don't think it's the law for everyone. I think some people grow out of games. Some people grow up and they still love games. And if I have responsibilities, I work at a newspaper, I am married, I have responsibilities, I have to take care of the household. There's responsibilities that I have going on in my life, and I'm still even trying to do this whole YouTube thing. So juggling all that and all the stresses that the world brings me, and I'm trying to enjoy these games that are coming out, there is some fatigue sometimes, and sometimes it's hard for you to get into a game. And I think all of those things influence you in how you're viewing video games. For me, it feels a little different because I am doing this YouTube thing and I am taking it very seriously, although I'm not a huge channel at all. I mean, I get modest views, barely, but the views that I do get, I'm very grateful for and I'm very happy. But I've noticed that I've been doing YouTube since 2020 now. I was playing multiple games a year before I started YouTube, but once I started like actually recording videos and things like that, my output for games, I was doing multiple games a year, long games, big games, some games that I didn't fully like, I made myself like for the channel because I already started them and I didn't want to just leave them there to die. So I have been playing since 2020 a lot of games. I've played games that I would have never tried. I've finished games that I would have never finished, and it just has become like a job almost. But I do enjoy it and I do like it. There is some burn and there is some fatigue, and some games have felt similar to other games, which I have noticed by playing so many different games. Like Horizon Forbidden West is a very good game, but then I'll play something else like Elden Ring. Not that they're the same thing because they're very different, but they're all big worlds and there's a lot to explore and there's upgrades. Then you go play God of War. It's a big world. There's a good amount of things to explore and there's upgrades. You go and you play Cyberpunk. It's a big world. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to explore. There's upgrades. I don't have an answer to the question, are games boring now? It's an individual question, and if you feel like they are, then they are. But if you feel like they're not, then they're not. And I know it's very simple, and I know it sounds kind of dumb saying it out loud. For me, on a personal level, guys, I love video games. I always have as a kid, and I'm gonna continue loving them. I have realized that there's a lot of hard work that goes into being a YouTuber or making YouTube videos. And I do view video games and gaming differently than what I did before I started the YouTube journey. I hope you guys got something out of this. Again, the point of this video, I wanted it to be casual, chill, and just kind of conversation-like. I want to know your thoughts. Do you think gaming is boring, and why? I didn't even address the big issues. Like, a lot of these freaking developers are on time crunches now. They need to get a game out. It's become so money hungry, right? So money hungry. Oh, I need to get this game out. I need to get this game out. Let's just release it and then we'll fix it later. And then it comes out buggy. So many patches needed. Releases are bad. There's so many games getting delayed. All that stuff. I didn't even talk about the corporate stuff. What maybe makes these games be shit, or what makes us think that gaming is different now because we're dealing with other stuff. We'll buy a game, we think that we have a great game on our hands. Next thing you know, it crashes, and they don't fix the damn thing for 5 months, 2 months, 3 months. And then by that time, you don't even want to play the game anymore. I didn't even get into that. So those are valid reasons as well as to maybe why gaming is no longer fun or why gaming is boring nowadays or in 2023. There is a video that I'm working on. Is the golden age of gaming really over, or when was that? Because I read an article that like kind of sparked something in me, and I wanted to talk about that. That one's going to be more structured. It's going to be shorter. It's going to be straight to the point. So keep an eye out on that. Should be out in the next couple weeks. This particular video was very casual, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit in the comments and get some ideas and kind of grasp what you guys are thinking, maybe some of my audience is thinking, and maybe what other people that have never watched my videos are thinking. You know, what do you think about gaming in its state today? Again, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.